Hello everybody, I'm Endymion for the Dork-at-Arms, etc., and today I've got a quick review type thing. So, this was my economy spadroon, but I threw on this Type 19 Venetian hilt because I wanted to do some side sword. I'm not gonna lie. The problems that arise if you've seen my spadroon, my economy spadroon review, is that it's way too heavy in the hand and it's not nimble. The blade is also, I've realized, a little too long and a little too beefy for a spadroon in many cases. So I do want to eventually get an actual spadroon blade and fit it on there. But with this, what is basically the same blade, their small fetter, the same blade that they use for their economy side swords, works perfectly with this Type 19 hilt, if I'm reading those Roman numerals correctly, because it works wonderfully as a side sword. The single finger ring gives me great mobility. The cuts are I keep on hitting my books. The cuts are very mobile. My thrusting is really, really good and stable. The one problem that you may have noticed is this gap. This gap in between the finger ring and the blade. It's a solid like 3 or 4 millimeters, and I've gotten smacked in my lead finger and my forefinger like 6 or 7 times. So what I have to do now whenever I use this is I put like a leather strip from an old belt over my finger, just loop my finger into that, and then I put it into a heavy lacrosse glove. And that pretty much takes care of it. I mean, lacrosse gloves are okay anyway to begin with, so bada bing, bada boom. For this, I do think it works. The hand protection is solid. It's taken some heavy blows from broadswords. But I do think that I want to get the actual Type 19 blade that'll fit with this eventually, so that it will actually, it'll be a little more flush with that finger ring. And hopefully it's still mobile, it's still good in the thrust, forgiving in the thrust. But I like this. I like this feature of Castille blades and hilts and everything. It's kind of a solution to a lot of spending habits. I did have to make a second washer here, so it came with this leather washer here. You can see that. A little bit of leather. And I had to throw in this leather washer, significantly less pretty looking, for the sake of this fitting on this hilt where it also fit on the spadroon hilt. I will say though, my next purchases for this are probably not going to be a new blade, but actually a mortuary hilt, just because I know sort of the broadswords are compatible with one another. I just don't know if this pommel is going to be compatible. So that is a problem. But that's okay. That's okay. This is like months down the road that I have to figure this out. But if you are going in for the sort of this Venetian style side sword, this, I don't even know if there's like an actual like set name for this. I just think it looks great. And it does the job. So long as you're careful about getting hit in the hands, like you shouldn't be getting hit in the hands anyway, unless you're dealing with a real hand snipey type of jerk. But with this one, I would say maybe put on saber gloves, because you do have the sides are a little exposed, and of course you do have this gap. But if you're gonna get this, I would say get it with the Type 19 blade, and just like make your own broadsword, or like make your own arming sword. This is technically under the arming sword guards, if I'm not mistaken, rather than side sword. Which, I mean, that sort of plays into how complicated our naming conventions are for these weapons. And what do you consider an arming sword versus what do you consider a side sword is, very debatable. I would classify this as a side sword just because this is more than a cruciform. Therefore, it's not a simple hilt. And you can use that very obviously because of this finger ring. You can use it for more dexterous thrusting. So I'm going to call that a side sword. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. That's a brief plan. And I hope you enjoy that. If you have comments or suggestions, let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want more. I do have one small thing. I'll probably make a short about it. But I'm going to be recycling my rapier blade because my rapier blade is super, super messed up. Anyway, I'm a Deviant for the Dork-at-Arms, etc. Thank you and have a good day.